All right, welcome back. So let's quickly light up the scene and I'll show you how to render your scene. All right, so I will switch this to 3D viewport, and first thing we're going to do is add a camera. All right, so by default you already have your camera, or you can just come here and add your camera. All right, so if you press 0 on your number pad, it will take you to the camera view. Right, so right now it's showing you inside the model, as you can see. Right, so you'd want to press G, hit Z twice and move. Right, we want to position our camera, so I'm just using my rotate. Okay, I think let's get the shots from the reference image. I'm just moving my G key and my R, just using my move tool and rotation to position this shot just like we have it on our image reference. Okay, so if you come to your camera's properties, if you come to viewport display, composition guideline, so we'll use rule of thirds, right? So there are different composition guidelines. There is the center, there is the diagonal ratio, the golden ratio. Those who are coming from cinematography understand this, but usually I use rule of thirds to create a composition for myself. So I would love to increase or just scale this background a bit. Okay, just scale the background a bit. I'm using my 0 on my numpad, so let's switch to 0 here and click on show overlays so you can see it's plainly here. So let's switch this to rendered. Come on. Hope you're saving, by the way. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to position my camera, so select my camera and position it just to have this shot. I think this is okay. All right, so first you need a camera. So you've added your camera, you've centered your shots. I think I would like my floor to be the same color as my wall. Yeah, so that's it, and we have our shots. So the next thing, there are different kinds of lighting, right? So I'm going to teach you the basic one, which is the 3-point lighting. So first we'll add a light. By default you might have lights already in the scene you want to use. So let's add a light. So I'll use area light. So there are different lights. So if you click on that, it's automatically opens the light properties here for you. So your lights properties. So you have point lights, sun lights, spotlights, area lights. So for this course we'll be using area lights. So spotlight, let's say you want to center on a particular object. So let's bring this up. So remember move tool, how to move. So you press G to move. So this is your area light. This is what it looks like. This is what your spotlight looks like. This is what sun looks like. You can see it's automatic. You're seeing it, the reflection of the sun. This is what point light looks like: sun, spotlights, and area light. So we'll be using area lights for this course. All right, so I'll show you how to light a 3-point lighting in 3D Blender. All right, so I'll increase the light influence here. Okay, first I want to step down the strength of the environment texture. Remember the HDRI we added, so I want to step that down to like a 0.5. okay, so we'll see the lights reflection better. So I'll come back to my lights panel. So this the power of the light, or the strength of the light, depending on what you're looking at, may show strength and may show power. So you play with this. There's no rule to it, you just play with it, you get the perfect one for your scene. So I set it to like 1,000. So I could set it like 2,000. Depending on how you want the strength of the light to be, it's up to you. Right, so remember our shots. So this is the first point, first area light we'll be using. So we come to front view. Remember numpad 1 to I'm sorry about that. You press your 1 on your numpad to go to front view. So we'll duplicate this light along the x-axis and rotate it. Okay, so if you look at it from the top, you may want to pull it in front a bit and just rotate it this way. Okay, so for this one you may just want to give it a color, maybe like a reddish color, just to give it that red tint. Okay, so this is first point lighting, so we want to rotate this one too. Oops. So you rotate this one too the same way. You want to give this a blue or any color you're looking for. So let's bring this down to like, let's say 1,000, or let's say 500, so it's not too much. You want to bring this down to like 1,000, so it has that subtle, you know, effect on it, that subtle highlight. So you may want to add another one behind. Right, so let's duplicate this, take this behind. So depending on how you want your shots to be, I don't want to limit you, so let's bring this here, change this to a point light. Okay, and just have it behind here. So if you notice there's a reflection, which I do not like, just have it behind here. I want it very soft, so let's give it like 100. That's not subtle, no? 200 is fine. So we're just giving it that feel. Alright, I think we'll increase the HDRI to like a point, let's say 0.8. Okay, so that's 3-point lighting. That's how you light. This is 3-point lighting setup. Right, so if you're a cinematographer, you might know better than I do. I'm open to learn, but this is pretty much what I use to light a model or a shot. All right, I may want to add maybe it's on very rare occasion, on very rare, emphasis on very rare, that you want to put a light in front. Right, but just to give it that aesthetic, you know, feel. So you just put one light in front there, reduce the strength to like maybe 1,005. Maybe give it a color, a bluish, you know, a tint. So this is your shot. So let's select our camera. Select your camera here. Where's your camera? Where's the camera? So this is the camera, and come to viewport display. There's something that is called pass part out. Truthfully, I've not seen a Blender user who has pronounced this thing correctly. Everybody usually bites their tongue when they're pronouncing this thing. So it's just pass part or something. Pass part out. So if you increase this, you'd see this is the image that will be rendered. This is what the viewer sees. This is what your camera sees. So this is what you want to render at the end of the day. So maybe you want to pull this out just a bit, just a bit. So we see what it looks like. Let me just rotate it. Let me bring it down. Okay, just a bit. So this is what your viewer will see. This is your image, the image you would be rendering. All right, so very quickly before we render, so let's bring this camera back like this. All right, so let's switch this to our timeline. All right, I'll show you just quickly how to do a camera movement. Okay, so let's bring this here a bit. Okay, so while your camera is selected, okay, you just press I to set location, rotation, depending on the kind of transform you want to add when you're animating your camera to camera. So let's say you want to add a rotation to your camera, so you select rotation, location. If you want to add a scale to your camera, you select location, rotation, scale. So I always like to select all three of them to be on the safe side. So if you notice here, it has added a keyframe to frame 1. So we'll come to frame, let's say frame 160, then move the camera back to where it was, then bring it down just to give it that exactly this shot exactly. Then you hit I again to add location, rotation, scale. So if you go back now and press space bar to play, so you see now it has that camera movement. Okay, so if you press, while you're on your timeline, if you press T to set interpolation, let's select linear, so it just there's no ease in and ease out, so we just press the space bar to play, and that's it. So if you want to make it faster, select this keyframe, select it, press G to move it to maybe like 100. So you see it's a lot faster. So the closer the keyframe, the faster the animation. So you see it renders exactly where you want it. So this is set to 250 frames, right? The length of this animation. So I would like it to be like 100. Set to like 100. So if we play this again, and it stays for a bit before it starts again, before it loops. So you see you've just animated your camera. You've done your first animation, right? Recap. So we added lighting, we changed the strength of it, so there are different types of light. Just play with it. All right, so sun is mostly when you're doing an outdoor scene, so this is an interior scene, so you would not be using what's it called, you will not be using sun inside the house unless you're creating a window scene where you have to have a reflection of the sun, so which typically you place the sun outside, then you have it reflect into the house. So this is your shot. This is basic. I mean, it's not perfect, it's not perfect, okay, but this is perfect. This is, you can call this done for me. All right, so I just like this effect right here, so that's why I'm adjusting my light. So this is it. And so how do you render this shot? So we'll go to our render panel. So we are using cycles. We did a few settings here. So like I said before, depending on how powerful your system is, so this render sample is what you want to look at. So we've already adjusted this threshold to render faster, but the render sample, this will depend on, it will take more, the higher the render sample, the longer it will take to render, but the better the quality, right? But for this tutorial, I mean, I don't know how strong your system will be able to take, so we'll just first, you know, let's deactivate the noise at first. So you see this noise, so you wouldn't want your shots to render with this, you know, noise in it. You get the reason why we activated this viewport is so we can actually see it in real time, but when you're rendering, you may not actually see that, so you would have this noise here. So how do we get rid of the noise? We just come to compositing, right? Select use node. So you'd have to denoise, add an AI that will denoise your shots when it's rendered. So you just add that AI to it. So first of all, before you activate the AI, you come to viewport, this view, what's it called, view layer property, select denoising data, so it adds that data to it. So you shift A to add, you search for, first add a viewer node, just search for view, add a viewer node, then search for denoise, see denoise data here. So you add the image, which is the render image, add the denoise albedo, and also add the normal and the denoise albedo here. Then you connect this to the compositor, and you connect this to the viewer, so that when you render, you can actually view it at the end of the day. So that's the setting you just need to do. So how did I do it? Come to compositing, activate use node, come to your view property, make sure you've turned on the noising data, add the noise node, add viewer nodes. You just search for them, you see them, just connect it just the way I'm connecting it here. So you go back to your layout. All right, so you would want to reduce this sample, because if we now, let's hit render, let's save first before Blender crashes. Save, make sure you always save. So if you now come to render image, so you see it's going to take a while. So it's going to render. Hold on. Wait, something is missing. Something is rendering with it. Yeah. So there was a hidden mesh. So let's delete that. Let me check if. Always check if, so that you don't end up rendering what you're not supposed to render. So I think everything is fine. It's working fine now. So if we go back to 3D viewport. Okay, so we hit render, let's save, don't forget to save, hit render image. So you see, if you look here, you see the amount of sample it will take to render. So I'm using, like I said, I'm using a Ryzen and also an NVIDIA graphics card. So you see how fast it's going. So it's going to take that long to render, depending, and the reason why it's this far is because we changed the threshold to 0.1. so if it was at 0.01, you can test out to see. So you see how fast it rendered, and this is your shot in less than 29 seconds. So you see, you can see your shot, you can see how crisp it is. All right, so because if you're viewing this on the phone, it's very clean. See how clean the shot is, this image is. All right, so you can now come to image, save as you've saved this image. So name this radio shots. Exactly. We increase the compress, set the color depth to 16, set the compression so it has a reasonable size. So you save that image. So you've saved the image. So if I go to where I saved it, you can now find, so it's still saving, so hold on, you can now find my image right here. Oh, that's it. Sorry, I'm just looking for where I saved the image. All right, so this is my image here. So you can see this is my image. All right, you can send it to your friends, you can share it on social media. That's how you render an image in Blender. Wow, this is so beautiful. You can see the detail on this table. You can actually see the detail. As you zoom in, you can see the detail because of how much render samples we used. So let's go back to our scene. Let's switch to another slot so we can make comparison. So this is slot 1, first shot we did, slot 2. So let's close that and let's reduce this to, like, depending on your laptop, the denoising will help you get rid of the noise on your scene. So let's reduce this to, like, let's say a 500 render sample. Okay, this is set to 0.1. So let's hit render, let's save, don't forget to save so Blender don't crash on you. Render the scene, so it will be a lot faster because it's 500. Yeah, so you may get the same, detail, depending on, hold on, so this is going to be 500 soon. Okay, so it's compositing. Remember the AI thing we did? So it's compositing right now to take out the noise. So it's, if you compare, you may not really see the difference, right? The reason why I'm doing this, so you don't beat yourself. So you don't beat yourself up and say, I don't have, my system is not powerful enough to render that much sample, so I'm not going to get quality image. This is it. There's no much difference because we are using the denoising AI. However, if you want to maybe display this on the screen, you may see in a bigger screen, you may have that, that a little bit of blur or pixelated, image. So, but this works fine. So depending on how how your workstation is, you can choose to render it out. So let's try a 60, because of this tutorial I'll be rendering this animation in 60. We're using 60 as our render sample. So if we do this now, let's see how many seconds this renders in. Come on, it's 4, 5, 48. So remember the last one was like 29 seconds. I didn't really check the last. Okay, then the previous one was 24. Now this is 13 seconds. So you see, not so good, but you could see you get the picture. So this is slot 1. This is the quality. Slot 2, this is the quality. Slot 3, this is the quality. You see, there's no much difference, as it were. But you still get a good image and renders in 19 seconds. So you see how, and the reason why I'm saying it is because this is my workstation. So for you, it might be different. I just noticed something. So you see my selection. I didn't select everything here. So that's an oversight right there. But for you, it would be perfect. So you see, so we'll be rendering this animation with 60 as our render sample. So let's check further for any other settings we need to do. So this also helps. Setting this to a lower light bounce also helps to increase your render, your render time. Okay, this caustics and reflective caustics also helps. If you deactivate this, it will reduce your render time. But I always like to leave it as default. So we always want to set this as transparent. So to put the background as transparent, and performance, I think we'll just leave that as default for now. Then for this color management, it's set to filmic. So if I switch this to standard, see what it looks like. Raw, see what it looks like. But let's just leave it as filmic. I think it's best to leave it at filmic. Okay, I think that's it for the render samples and render settings. So let's come to output settings. So this is the dimension of your shot, which is 1920 by 1080. You can choose to put it at 4K if you want. If you increase this to 400, it will be set to 4K. And let's test something. As we've set it to 4K, let's come to samples and let's see how it's set to 60. Let's set it to the default. Right, we'll save. I just wanted to see how long it will take if you set this image at 4K, which is not necessary unless you want to play it on a big screen, which if you still set it at the default value, it will still work. So this is 4K. See how big the image is. See, it's 4K. See, it's going to take longer time to render this image. See, it's at 64 right now, so it's going to take a lot longer to render. Though the reason it's going this fast is because you see it's multiplied by 4, so it's rendering this 4096 multiplied by 4 exactly. So it's rendered the first shot, the second shot, going to do the same thing till all the tiles are completed. So you can see we're already headed towards 41 seconds. So give or take, these shots should render in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So imagine you're rendering 25 frames. So 2 minutes or 5 minutes multiplied by 25 frames of your shots. It may take approximately 3 days to render an animation of a 10 seconds or 15 seconds or maybe 5 seconds of animation, which, I mean, you do not have that much time. But sticking to 100 as your, let's say 1K, or you want to increase it to like a 2K resolution, it works. Right, the reason why I'm taking this time to explain to you so that you don't have issues when it's time to render your shot. You see now it's at 1 minute, right? So I was even wrong. It may take up to 5 minutes to render this shot. So let's just wait and see. Please be patient. Let's just wait and see. My system is fast, so you see that's 1. It has to render for 4K, right? So when it's done, it has to now composite for the remaining one. So I don't want to waste much of your time. I'm going to speed up this process so that you don't waste too much time on this one. So I'll just speed up this particular rendering. So at the end of the day, we'll see how long it took to render this particular frame. This is just one frame, and this how long it's going to take if you set it at 4K. So do not overkill it, just set it at 100 or maybe 150 or 200 if you want to get quality resolution. But we've tested out different slots, and you could see clearly from different slots that, I mean, it's okay. This can fly on your social media handle perfectly. I assure you, can fly on your social media handle. This is much bigger, right, compared to the previous one. You can actually scroll in and see the detail on this model. Okay, so let's okay, so for some reason I can't see my image, but it took like 6 minutes to render. I don't know why that is. I'll just have to check back. So it took 6 minutes to render this particular shot, which is ridiculous. I mean, imagine I have to render 250 frames, so it took so long. So let's set this to 60 to render this animation, and let's set the folder where we want to animate, where we want to render the animation. So come to output, set output folder. We want to render in PNG. So you want, you depending on your system again, and also how powerful your battery is, or if you have consistent power supply, you'd want to set this at PNG, right? Or if you want to set this at video, it's also fine, so it renders the video output. But I usually advise use PNG, so that in case Blender crashes, you can actually start from the exact frame that it rendered and stopped. It rendered the frame it stopped when it was rendering. So create a folder, we'll call this renders. All right, let's leave this as default. So we accept the folder to render into, set this at RGB A, which is RGB alpha, so it renders transparent too. So that's, I think that's pretty much it for this. So we set that at 60. Don't forget, bring this back to 100, please. Bring this back to 100. So I think that's pretty much it, and don't forget to save. So you see, when I set it to 4K, it somehow did not show me my image. I don't know why, but I'll have to find out why. And for some reason, this is my shots at the end. Okay, good. So we'll hit, so save. So this time, since we've set the output, remember, as PNG, and set the location of where it's going to render into, so we'll hit it off, instead of clicking a render image, we'll say render animation. So we'll render this animation, and that's it. You just finished rendering. You just understood principles. Let's minimize this. So we understood lighting, as it were, a bit of lighting. So this is not perfect, so depending on the shot you're working on, you may want to work on a gloomy shot, a much darker shot, a horror shot. So you know that you need, subtle lighting, very, very dense lighting, and not loud lighting like this. Is not so bright. You have lots of red. So you do your research, check online how to render, how to light up a dark shot, a horror shot, a sci-fi shot. So there are different methods you could use to render or light this shot. So I just showed you pretty much the basic way on how to render your shot. So when this is done, all you have to do is pack the all you have to do, or hold on, all you have to do is just add the images. I'm going to show you how to do that actually. So when this is done, I'll show you how to add the image and render a video output here in Blender. Or alternatively, you could just stick to using the video. Select video, come to encoder, select MP4. For the quality, you could select high quality. I usually choose perpetual lossless. I don't know why, but I just like it. So, and that's it. Hit render and it renders the video output for you. Okay, the reason why I said you should use PNG is just in case Blender crashes, and so you would have to, if it crashed at 40 frames, you just have to start from 41 and render the remaining frames. But if it's on video and it crashes, you would have to start over again and render your video. All right, so with these settings for your video, you can render a video output. Just have your laptop plugged in and it's consistent power supply, no interruption, and it will render your shot in a video format, and you would see it and play it. For this PNG, when it's done rendering, all you have to do is switch to maybe just add video editing. Just add a video editing window here. So when it changes to video editing, just shift A to add the image sequence. Just go and find where you saved the image sequence, select all, which is hit A twice, select all, add everything. You have to do the same settings I showed you for the video, the same settings, and you render out the video. Whichever one works. Do ask your questions on the Discord. I mean, I need to see your work in progress, what you've done so far, and I would love to see your work. Let's see what you've done so far. If you have any questions, please do well to ask on the Discord, and there will be people to answer you, or I will answer you personally. So with this few points of mine, this few knowledge I've shared with you, you'll be able to create and render anything in Blender. So at this point, I believe you already know your hands are now, you're now hands-on on how to use Blender, how to rotate, how to scale, how to rotate your 3D viewport. So in the next course, it will take you through step by step how to create your 3D character from scratch. So we're going to get our hands dirty with the sculpting tool. We're going to sculpt, we're going to introduce you to topology, then texturing. Then after that 3D course, after the 3D character creation course, I'm going to take you on how you can rig your character. So the rigging system I'll be using 3 types of rigging, which is the Rigify, the Auto Rig, which is the paid version of the rig, and also Blend Rig, which is the industry professional way of rigging. It can be very technical. It's people who know how to rig, they are called character technical directors or character TDs. So they are called character TDs. That's the people who rig characters. So the third one, which is the Blend Rig, will be very complex. I need you to prepare your mind because it's really complex when you're rigging one character, and imagine you have to rig like 4 or 5 characters or 10 characters. So you have to pay close attention because we're just getting started. If you're excited about this one, don't get too excited because we're going to get our hands dirty, and we're hoping that in the next maybe 1 month or 2 months that you're studying this course or that you're learning this, you're going to understand how 3D animation works. So when we are done with rigging, we'll test out our rig, add life to it, add actions to it, make it walk, make it talk, make it run. It's gonna be fun. All right, then we'll render our animation. I'll show you how to create a short film as a bonus to this course, so you know how the entire process works. So I needed to keep an open mind. I needed to have this learning spirit. There's nobody knows it all. I mean, I'm learning as I'm teaching you, and I needed to ask me questions if you do not understand at some point. So like I said, prepare your mind. It's going to get tougher as we go on this journey, and trust me, it's going to be worth it. Your money will not go to waste. I'm putting in a lot of extra hours to make sure that you get this, no matter the level that you are, whether you're a primary school student or a secondary school, whether you're a teenager, you would get this course, you would understand it from beginning to the end. So I need you to pay close attention, get rid of your distraction, your cell phone, keep it aside. You're trying to achieve something here, and get serious with this, because at the end of the day, this can be, I mean, a big break for you. You could work in Disney after learning this. You could work in Pixar. I mean, you learning how to create this alone, right? You could go ahead and test yourself out, try other things, take a picture of whatever you want to create. Take a picture of your room, upload it here. I've shown you how to upload pictures. Upload it here. Try to recreate your room. Try to recreate whatever it is on your table, your pen, your eraser, your perfume, whatever it is. Test it out. Bring it in here. Learn. Let your hands have a hands-on experience when it comes to modeling. So as you're modeling, upload it on the Discord. We'll upload it on our page and we'll tag you. It's awesome. It's going to be an amazing experience. So I need you to buckle up. I need to keep an open mind. Like I said, have a learning spirit. Whatever you think you knew about 3D initially, I need you to just at least put it in the fridge and keep an open mind to learn something new. So I'm going to see you in the next course. The instructor will be taking you on character development. So you're going to learn how to create your 3D stylized character from scratch. Just get ready. It's going to be amazing. See you in the next course. Bye.